Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Beyond the Track with Daniel Blair. That's me, I'm Daniel Blair. Huge thank you to Cooper Tires for being a part of this series. It's been a fun one so far, and I can't imagine this one going any other way. I like talking with the mechanics, I like talking with people in the industry, but for me as a former racer, I really like talking to racers. And the guy I'm going to talk to right now, I know this is going to be a fun talk. We've talked before, and I can imagine this one going pretty well. Max Anstie is going to join me today. Max, how are we doing?
Yeah, thank you. No, I'm doing well. I've literally just been given the all clear to start riding and training again. So I'm going to be getting ready for Supercross. I'm really excited for it.
It's the best thing ever, right? You go to the doctor, you're wondering, how am I doing? And then when they say, hey, you're good to go, it's like the best feeling, like, let's go.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you know, in this sport, we do end up seeing quite a few doctors, but this one was a weird one. Like I'd actually finished outdoors, been riding for 3 weeks on Super. I didn't take any time off. I was like straight into it, riding Supercross, actually really enjoying it and getting the base set up and things going. And then I ended up having my lung got punctured randomly. It's called a spontaneous pneumothorax officially. I was doing nothing. I literally was talking to my team. I'd been riding, finished that session, was talking to the team, and then I was like, oh, I'm getting some serious pain in here now. And the doctors ended up fixing me and sorting it out. And they said, look, there's these little blisters on your lungs that when you grow and you're training, so when I was younger, growing and training, you can get these type of things on your lung. It's quite common in certain athletes. And he said, look, you can either just leave it, but it could come back, or you can get this fixed, but you're going to have 2 or 3 weeks off. And I was like, look, I'm in the off season, let's get it fixed. And then at least I know it's not going to come back on me in the season or anytime soon. So
yeah, you don't want to be at round 5 chilling in Indy, getting some dinner, and then it's like,
yeah, I know.
I don't feel right.
No, it was a weird. But yeah, I told the guy. I said to the doctor, I said, I raced in Denver, 6,000 feet or however high Denver is, flat out heart rate was 190, no problem. So how has this randomly just happened? And I was talking. I literally was doing nothing. I'd finished riding that session, felt great, was chatting to the team, and then all of a sudden was like, okay, I need to go home now because I can't breathe. So yeah, it was a weird one.
Definitely weird. Well, hey, we'll past it, right? If we're good, doctor said go, let's go. Max, okay, so with you're back with the H.E.P Suzuki team, but for all of us Supercross fans, like, we didn't get to see you last year. It just didn't all work out timing-wise with the injury. You had a great summer, man. You had some rides that were so awesome. I'm super happy for you. But 2021, you're back with the team. You're coming out to do some Supercross. Are you amped or what, man? I got to imagine.
Yeah, I mean, as a kid, it's always, Supercross is always the thing that everyone looks at, and it's been, I'll go back to I've been racing the GPs. I've been over in Europe for a lot of years, but every year I get to this point and I'm talking to my wife and talking to the people close to me saying, oh, if I didn't give it another go in Supercross, because I raced it when I was 16, but and it was kind of what I was brought up to do. If I didn't give it another go, I would always regret that, if I ended my career in Europe and things, how it goes. Like you just go where the teams are, where the money is, where the deals are. And I was like, oh, I really want to get back to the States. And now having this opportunity with the Twisted Tea Suzuki H.E.P team, it's, I would have loved to race Supercross this year in 2020. But to be honest, after everything that's happened, I mean, I had an Achilles injury then. It's just now given me the time to prepare through outdoors and now have a good off season to get ready going into Supercross. I mean, there's still a couple of things to iron out with the guys, but we are, getting ready to go racing, and I've been riding and training, and I'm really looking forward to it. All signs are leading to I'm going to be on the gate for the Twisted Tea Suzuki team now. So I'm pumped on it.
I love it, man. I know Dustin Pipes. I know the Pipes family. I think you're matched up with some great people. Obviously, you got some experience with them now. Twisted Tea comes on board. So the team is growing. It's ascending. You're coming back. But I want to kind of take things back a little further. I know you. I know your amateur career somewhat. but I don't know it in detail. Could you kind of take us back to those younger years and the transition that you made here? Because you spent a lot of time here.
Yeah. So when I was 14, I was in 2007. I was racing in the European Championship on an 85. It was me and Hurlings racing against each other basically all the time there. There was a few French guys in there. There was some Italians, a lot of the same guys that we race against nowadays. And at the end of that season, I got picked up by Wasserman, and they got me this deal with KTM to be on the factory junior team. So I ended up coming out and did Mini-O's in 07, Mini-O's in 2007 on an 8. You know how it is in America. You ride 85, Super Mini, 125. You ride everything, stock, mod, open, all these different classes. And then I literally spent the whole of 2008 as an amateur over here racing like Whitney and Oak Hill and Loretta's and Mini-O's and all of those races, and transitioned up through the B class, schoolboy and B class. And then in 2009, I was still supposed to stay an amateur through 2009 and 2010 and maybe go pro 2011. But I just turned 16 in 2009. I'd raced the B races and schoolboy in Whitney and Oak Hill, and I got a phone call from Jimmy Button. I'm pretty sure it was Jimmy, or they'd spoken to my dad or whatever, and they said, look, they're changing the rule from 16 to 18 to go in pro. And I was kind of like, and it messed up my 5-year amateur deal with KTM or whatever, that I had to either go pro now or I had to wait 2 more years. And at that time, obviously, I'm, under the influence of my parents or my dad or whoever's around, and they're like, yeah, just go pro. And I was like, okay, yeah. And I went from literally racing a Super Mini and an 85 in November at Mini-O's to in April racing, lining up against Weimar. I was on the gate next to Weimar, actually. That's how I remember it. And Dungey and those guys at Glen Helen for outdoors. And Jason Lawrence was my first official boss. I rode for the J-Law team. And then from there, I raced in 2010, was my first season of Supercross with Star Yamaha. Again, I was 16, turning 17. And I had a great time. I qualified second in time training. And as you know, that puts you to the gate first for Heat 1. And I'd literally watched Supercross since my whole life. And I remember going to the gate and my heart rate must have been 180 going through the stadium. And I was first onto the gate. So I was literally, as the opening show went up, as Bubba had his big theme song, I'm coming home. That one was so sick. And then I remember just sitting on the start line thinking, oh my God, this is actually real. And I ended up getting second, I think, to me and Brock Tickle. He was my teammate then. And in the heat race, and then top 10 in the main. And honestly, it was just great. And I loved it. I fell in love with Supercross then. And then in 2011, it ended up that, I got more money to go to this team and to go to this. Oh yeah, go over for a year in Europe and do the GPs, do a world championship. End up going back, and then as soon as you leave, you not that people forget about you, but it's like you go into a whole different world. And then I was over there, and then I made a career for myself in the Grand Prix, and I've become my own person. I was only a kid when I left. I was 17, 18, and okay, now I'm 27, so I'm my own person. I know how to deal with teams. I've been on a lot of different teams and factory teams over there. But yeah, it was just something that I always wanted to do and to come back for. And many guys always told me that, you need to be like the Lawrence brothers. You need to be young and on MX2 and come over, or 250 and come over. And I did that when I was younger. And I was like, yeah, but I think, if you listen to what everyone else says, you're never going to be able to do anything in your life. So I was able to get this deal done with Dustin and H.E.P, and they gave me the opportunity to come over, and now I'm back where I belong, I feel, anyway. So I'm pretty happy with it.
It's crazy, man, when you tell it that way, because again, you come here, you're a kid, You're being told where to go, what to do, whatever, and it's like a flash,
exactly.
right? And now you're an adult, you're a grown man, you come over. I mean, how much different is it for you? Obviously, some of the food restaurants might all be the same places and all that, but dude, life is not the same for you as you were when you were a kid. You're a grown man.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, for me, I know the area, like I know the tracks and things, but even back then, like I was barely driving, so so it's very different. And even I know, so even when I came out, so me and my wife, we actually came out here to get married at the end of last year. Hadn't even had anything planned with coming to America with any of that stuff. It was literally, she wanted a summer wedding because the weather in Europe is not very good in October. So we're coming out to get some nice weather, and ended up getting married up in Hollister, which was not even that far from where the team is. And Dustin gave me a call and was like, "Oh, do you want to come and do a test?" And I was still working on a deal in Europe, like 95% had a deal done, and I was like thinking, okay, I'm going to get ready for the GPs, and I was on holiday mode, like I was coming out to get married, and he said, "Oh, we just want to see you ride Supercross." And I was like, "Yeah, I haven't ridden Supercross in a while." Literally jumped. I mean, he'll tell you, I jumped straight on the bike. I was like, okay, I know how these things work. You know, I'm not a kid anymore. I know how these tests go. So, all right, I hadn't ridden since Lommel GP, and I jumped on a Suzuki at the H.E.P test track up there on a Supercross track. Luckily, Adam was there, my teammate, Adam Entignac, and he'd gone out for a few laps before me. So I'm pretty good at judging speed for distances on jumps off of someone else, but obviously I hadn't ridden Supercross in a while. And I was like, oh, okay, things are steep. I went out first lap and I knew I had to jump everything. And literally I jumped all the triples first lap, got all the rhythm sections down real fast. And I was like, Dustin was like, whoa, you can just ride around in the middle if you want. I was like, look, I want to come here, you know, this is what I want to do. And yeah, we made it work. So it was crazy how it all worked out, but no, I'm happy with it.
That's beyond crazy. You're here getting married, you're on a holiday, you get a call, you go test, and now you're here that's not how it happens. That's not the normal way things happen, man.
But I hear it all the time. Like I said, there's a stereotypical way, or there's the normal way of doing things. I'm like, look, no one has gone. I mean, Villapoto is the only one that went from here to try to go back to GPs and do it on a 450. You know, there's no one that's gone from a 450 to come over here. Okay, guys that did Monster Cup, but it's like, you know, it's pretty unheard of. And I honestly just felt like I was always good on the tacky American style tracks, even in Europe. You know, I actually don't, normally I don't like saying that I don't like things because it's a mental thing, but I actually don't like the Italian or French hard pack tracks. They're like rocky, and Czech Republic, when we go there, I mean, it's so slippery. It's hard to even imagine for Americans when they watch it, because you think, why don't they scrub stuff in Europe? Like, why don't they look cool? And it's purely because it's that slippery and that awkward, and the track is literally hard to even just ride around. You can't, you're jumping, doing boner airs because you literally just trying to not get all squirrely off the lip. So that's the thing that I don't miss. So someone asked me the other day, "Oh, do you miss it?" And I'm like, all the American tracks are great. Got nice jumps, good traction, good ruts, and they're a bit more technical with jumps and things like that, which is what I was always good at as a kid. So yeah, I'm enjoying it.
You like sand too a little bit, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I know sand. See, when I was a kid, I would go to school Monday to Friday, and I'd ride Supercross after school every day. And then on Friday, I'd leave and go to Holland from England. My dad would take me to Holland, and I'd ride sand Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So I was either riding sand or riding Supercross when I was really small. So I kind of, I know it's probably hard to explain, but when I'm riding around Lommel, I have a rhythm. And Jeffrey Hurling's also, like, the way that he rides, you have a rhythm. Riding Supercross is kind of the same. You know, there's certain sections that you have to respect. It's like the whoops. You can't go balls out through the whoops. Otherwise, you're going to be in the tough blocks. You're going to be upside down. Whereas, and it's the same on a sand track, there's areas that you have to respect, and you have to have the rhythm and the flow to be able to go around there. And I kind of can translate a little bit of that into Supercross to feel, now I'm not silly. Like, I'm not coming into, again, this comes with a bit of experience and being a little bit older, but I'm not coming into the Supercross and thinking, oh yeah, because I've been riding sand, I'm going to be great on Supercross. The Americans are the best of the best at Supercross. I was also there at the Motorcyclist Nations in Redbud. I ended up beating Tomac and watched the Americans get beat. 1 week later, I was in the stadium in Monster Cup watching, and he won $1 million. What do you think he prepared more for? You know what I mean? Like, if we all raced Monster Cup, he'd have probably lapped everyone there. All the European guys. So I'm not silly, and I know that the Americans are the best of the best at what they do. But that being said, with my team, I do feel like, with my experience of racing and my crew chief, Clark Jones, he's amazing. Like, he's got so much knowledge. My mechanic, Dave Dye, honestly, I got so lucky with him because he's worked with Chad Reed, with great riders. They're helping me grow and know what to expect. Same with Dustin. Dustin used to race. Adam, even my teammate, Adam Enticknap, like, he's a nice guy, and we can actually talk about things. And he's like, oh, try this or try that, or do this or do that. And we can work together to get, the bike, the package, everything to a better place. And honestly, I'm happy with the group of guys that I've got, and I couldn't be, happier to have got them all.
Yeah, they put together a good program. Again, they're ascending. They're making moves. Every year's getting better. I think you're in really good hands there. And I like what you say, too, about the sand and being technical, because a lot of people will think that sand is just brute strength only. And like you were saying, you have to ride with a lot of awareness, because there's areas where you got to lighten up, areas where you got to be more efficient, and then there's areas where you just grind. Supercross has those same similarities. Like you said, they're not the same, but there's things from each that kind of have the same feeling, where it's more upstairs anyway, and how you approach mentally the track. So, I'm excited to see you race Supercross this year again. Like you said, it's been such a long time. Let's go back to last year. You signed the deal. You're here. You're going to do this thing. Achilles. Now, when I hear Achilles, I think of like basketball player or football player. You cut with your foot. When I heard you had that, I was like, what? Like, what?
Yeah, I know. So
how did it happen?
So how did it actually happen? I came over obviously late, like I wasn't, and we were still in the process of dialing everything in. I had only brought one set of gear over with me from Europe, because I thought there might be a possibility of testing. And I brought one set of boots over. Now, my boots I brought over were my boots from the season. I'd actually raced in them like all year. So they weren't new. I'd hammered them. Well, I didn't really give it too much of a thought. But then in the end, the plastic bit on the inside of the boot, the hinges, ended up breaking in a rhythm section, getting stuck in the side panel of the bike. So I couldn't lift my foot off the foot peg. My foot was stuck. So I was in a rhythm section, and I wasn't sketchy at all, but I knew I was going to bottom out. But if I slammed the brakes on, I'd have gone over the bars, and my foot was stuck to the bike. So I was like, oh, I don't really know what to do now. So I kept going. As I bottomed out, my heel hit the ground, and that was it. And that was it with that. It was one of those where, yeah, obviously it was super unlucky, but also I was coming in, it was all a bit of a rush, and I only had one set of gear, just trying to make something happen. And I ended up seeing the doctor, and the first doctor that I saw said, oh no, it'll be fine in a couple of weeks. So I ended up kept riding. I was up with the team with Suzuki, and finalized everything. I was riding. I was like, it just doesn't, like, I obviously knew that it wasn't right, but I was like, oh, I thought it would just get better. And I kind of like did all that I could with icing and all of that stuff. But again, the difficult thing about moving your whole life is that I didn't have the doctors, the physios, the chiropractors. As bad as that injury was, now I know exactly who to talk to when I want to go and get a massage, when I need to, even with this, with my lung, like the doctor, I phoned Dr. Ryman, literally 10 minutes after it happened. I'm like, Dr. Ryman, right, help me out, what do we do? Bang, 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 he gets me in. Within a week, I'm dialed. You know, when I was here originally, I was saying to my wife, I was like, I don't really know who to speak to, like where to go, what to do. And whereas in Europe, obviously I'd been there for X amount of years, I knew my doctors, I knew where I need to go for this and for that. And so all of that is a learning process. And it's taken us a year to now feel at home here and figure everything out, even just to be able to be comfortable. It's not easy moving halfway around the world in literally overnight and thinking, oh, you know, when I left, I know I keep going on about it, but when we left to come and get married, I literally bought a bag, a suitcase with holiday clothes and one set of gear just in case. And then I left my rowing machine, I left my towel on my rowing machine and my shoes underneath my rower, like to go back in Belgium. And literally, I've never gone back to see that house. I left that house thinking that I'm going to go back. And my wife ended up having to go back and clean the house out because I just didn't even go back. I had the deal and I'm like, I need to stay here and ride. So it was weird.
Super crazy, man. Like these are the stories that are cool to me because you never know. Because what we see is you on the track in your gear doing your thing, but you know, there's such a story that goes along with how you got there. And I didn't know all that happened. I knew a little bit. I didn't know it was that crazy, but I'm glad you're healthy. I'm glad it was all good. We get into the summertime. Dude, great summer. I mean, obviously it's, again, you're getting comfortable. You're learning the team. You're learning the bike. I know you guys are working hard at developing. So this summer for you was good, but at the same time, do you feel it was more of a grow, get better, build the base up, whatever? Like, it wasn't like you were going like, let's go win now. It was just, let's build this thing correctly. And now 2021, let's go make some things happen.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, even at Loretta's, you know, to be honest, I didn't even realize, I didn't know what to expect. I remember going to the first race thinking, like, am I going to be in the ballpark? Am I not going to be in the ballpark? You know, I know the hardest thing I've learned this even in Europe, the hardest thing is changing bikes and changing teams, because you're dealing with a different group of people and different bikes with different setup. You can be a bit off. And like in motocross, if you're 2 or 3 seconds off the pace, you know, that's quite a big thing. You can be, but it can literally be a small change. You can change the sag and it can make you like a second faster, or you can do a few clicks here and it can. So it's like, oh, we had no base settings and the team had never raced outdoors. So for us, it was like, are we, you know, have we got the right subframe on? Have we? And at that time, the JGR weren't necessarily giving us any information. So we were basically doing things on our own. And obviously, again, Clark and Dave, my mechanic and my crew chief, really got us in the ballpark, because I had to just trust that, okay, right, this is going to work, because European bike setup is obviously different as well. So, and also the other thing is Southern California tracks for motocross. What I've realized is when we went to Loretta's, it's completely different. So riding around Glen Helen, the only track that Glen Helen could have actually worked for was Pala, the last round of the year. The rest of the tracks, the East Coast tracks, all were deep and soft and big braking bumps and slightly different from what you get in Southern California. So yeah, the goal for the team, the goal for me, the goal for all the people around me was to, I knew the potential of the team. I knew the potential of the people. I wanted to put H.E.P, Twisted Tea Suzuki, on the map and go, okay, here we are. Now we can elevate and progress each time we go out and race. And I believe that even in Supercross, we're going to be competitive. You know, I know they're a relatively new team, and when I went to meet the guys for the very first time, I didn't know them. I didn't know anything about them, but I just had a good feeling. And I've learned in my career, I've sat in a lot of meetings with different teams and gone, oh God, I just don't, I'm not really feeling it with them. Or, oh yeah, this is the right way. And I know a lot of it is to do with feel. So yeah, I had a good feeling with the guys, and that was the goal. So throughout the outdoor championship, you know, I didn't know what to expect coming in. I was nervous for the first race because I was it's been a year because of COVID, because of everything. It had been a year for me racing, and we went there, and by the second round I was leading laps and nearly won a race. But even in that situation, I was, again, maybe a younger me would have thrown it away. I was pretty calm and like, okay, the guy crashed, whatever, I'll take a third, no problem. I'm not going to ride over my head, not going to do anything silly. I'm going to take what I can take, but I'm not going to do anything silly. So, and I think that we just grew. We grew as a team. We learned a lot. And now, yeah, for sure, going into, even when I started riding Supercross, I literally said to the guys, give me my outdoor bike just with Supercross suspension. Like, I don't want to mess around with any of the other dynamics of the frame, of the chassis, all of that stuff, because we've actually got it to a point where I felt comfortable. So it's like, okay, bang, we're at a good starting point. We know that it worked, and it's just building from there. So I personally think 1 year on a team is so short, especially when you're trying to develop and learn new things as a team. So I definitely feel like going into next year we're much further ahead than, we're not starting at zero anymore.
Without question. Like you said, the comfort, just knowing the people, knowing what to say, how they respond, what they say. I mean, that whole thing is a learning process. So I'm with you on that. You need to develop that before you can really move forward. So kudos on that. You get done with outdoor. You said you went right to Supercross for a while. How'd it go right away? Is this at the track in Madeira? I've been there before. I've been there a couple times. So did you just go out to that track and just start spinning the laps? And how did it go in the beginning?
Yeah, good. We rode up at Madeira. I'd ridden at the time, State Fair and Elsinore weren't open yet, but I rode at that H.E.P track. I did some riding at Mumford's too, and that was, yeah, really good. I was trying to do a bit of variation. All I was trying to do was laps, get 80% laps in. I wasn't like absolutely balls to the walls. I was even doing 20 lap motos, but just precise, nice, feeling good. Yeah, no, I felt good. We made some definite gains with the bike. We did a little bit of testing. We even did some outdoor testing straight away while I was still hot with the outdoor feel, just to get ourselves ready for next year, because I know that in a general year, you guys have like 2 weeks or a week and a weekend off to get ready from Supercross to outdoors. So I knew there wasn't going to be, if everything gets relatively back to normal, then there's not going to be a long off season to get ready for outdoors. We still don't know yet, but I wanted to be ready where the outdoor bike is sat there, so that if we have a rainy day in December, I can just go, okay, I'm not going to waste time. I'm getting on the outdoor bike. Let's go to Glen Helen. Let's go here. Let's go there. So I can work on the outdoor stuff, so that I think that's the juggling thing, how you have to do it over here. Because, you know, if you do Supercross and then you decide, oh, I'm going to try and test for outdoors, and you've got a week to get ready for it, you're going to lose the first 3 rounds where you're just figuring yourself out. So we're figuring it out, but it's good.
Probably make some bad decisions too. When you're rushed like that, you're going to go, oh, okay, I think that's good. I think that, like, you're not going to develop the bike like in a setting when the outdoors are over and you have time. So it's like, let's just try something. Like, you're not rushed. So you'll probably make better decisions, be more open-minded. But when you end like the last Supercross and with a couple weeks to go, it's just like, throw this on. Okay, let's go race. And like you said, you're going to waste 3 rounds figuring out what's going on.
And also the riding feel is different. Like, this is something that I'm pretty good at keeping notes, but this is something that I remember when I was on Star Yamaha in 2010, getting off Supercross, going to outdoors. And at that time they had Enzo suspension. And remember going to Pala, the first day of outdoors, and you only have your week or so off, or maybe I was in the West Coast break, or I can't really remember. And I remember thinking, geez, this bike's so soft. It sucks. It's so soft. It's so soft. you go stiffer, stiffer, stiffer. You get to the first race and you're like, oh, go softer, softer, softer. And I'm like, yeah. Whereas that's the plan with this, is have the bike sat there that you know, okay, this is good. So just deal with it when you get, because once you get so sucked into Supercross, the feel is different of riding, the intensity is different, the way that you attack the races is slightly different. Outdoor races, obviously I'm used to, 30 plus 2 times 30 plus 2, it's a different sort of strength as you're going through the motor, and a different sort of speed and momentum. And Supercross, obviously, if we're spending 3, 4, however many months doing Supercross, you're going to kind of lose that 5% feel on the outdoors. And yeah, like you're saying, it's just making sure you can get on the bike and go, okay, I know this is, have confidence that I know this is good. It's not like, oh, I don't like this feel because it doesn't feel like a Supercross bike.
You just accept it. Like, yeah, it doesn't feel good today, but in 3 days, I'm going to be great on it. Like, it's just, you got to like trick yourself almost a little bit.
Yeah, I think just, it's the preparation, and that's tough when you do switch teams, because when you switch teams, you know, if you switch teams now, everyone's focused straight on Supercross, 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 and then you get to outdoors, and then you are searching a little bit. And obviously, the top teams, they have their settings, they have a lot of technicians, it's okay, but still, it doesn't matter what team you're on, whether you're on the best of the best or not, and you've got the best equipment or you don't have the best equipment. If you can have the factory of factory suspension and still make it feel terrible if you set it up wrong. So it doesn't matter. Like, it's it's all about the way that you feel and how comfortable you are.
Funny you say it's like the big misconception. Everyone thinks if I had factory suspension, I would be unbelievable. And it's like, if it's not set right, you'll be worse on that than stock. It has nothing to do with the fact it's being built for you correctly. That's a process. So it's one of those things that everyone kind of, you don't know until you know. But hey, so I got a funny question for you, because you've been on a lot of teams. You know, you've had a lot of teammates throughout the years. I can't imagine you've had many like Adamantic. Like, he's a 7 deuce deuce. He's one of a kind, not even just for us in the U.S., but anything in the world. Is there anyone like him? Tell me there's someone out there like him. I don't think they exist.
I'm thinking, but I don't think there's anyone like the 7 deuce deuce out there. He's no, he's a great guy though. Honestly, he's been great as a teammate this year. You know, the environment, the vibe in the team truck. Honestly, there's times in between the races. Normally I have a sleep, so normally in between the races I'm trying to sleep, or I'm like a bit serious and whatever. You know, I can be happy when I'm not, but when I'm in the truck, right, I'm trying to be serious. But geez, there's sometimes in that team truck where I'm creased up laughing so hard I'm crying and my stomach is hurting, and yet we've got to go and race again in a minute, and he's just literally, it makes it so much more fun. Like, we actually had a great time. Like, this year, someone asked me the other day, and like, I honestly feel like this outdoor season was probably the most fun that I've had ever, because it was just so funny with him. Like, it was funny with him, funny with the team. Like, we had a good environment, a good atmosphere, and yeah, we were still serious when we needed to be, but it was just, it was funny.
Yeah, I've known him for a long time. He's always been Adam, but at the same time, he's just grown into this persona now. And I've noticed with him, I'll come around the truck sometimes at the Supercross to see how the guys are doing, and it don't matter how the day's going for that guy. He's happy, he's smiling, he makes everybody around him feel good. I knew that'd be a good pair for you too, because again, you're coming over here. You've been here before, but you're coming over here again, starting a little bit over, and to have someone like that as like your guy, it just seems like it would make the transition smooth, because he just approaches things from a different angle. For me, he lives life differently than most, just the way he thinks about things.
Yeah, no, I'm sure, but he's a great guy, and I do, you know, as funny and as outgoing as he is still serious. Like, you know, we still get our work done, we still are doing stuff at the test track, we're still doing motos, and I'd love to see him perform well and do what I think he's capable of. Definitely on the test track, he's really fast. So So yeah, I'm looking forward to this next year.
So a little question just to kind of compare what you've been used to for a while, because again, when you're doing the GPs, you're traveling the world. You're not like when you're in the US, you're traveling this country, but it all kind of will relate. It doesn't matter what city you're in. The vibe's somewhat the same, but for you,
Still got the same restaurants.
Yeah, there's
still
chain
the same
restaurants,
food,
man. It's same stuff. But when you're traveling the world and seeing just so many different cultures and really having to adapt, whatever, what has it been like coming here to where, again, it's different in different cities, but for the most part, you've been in the same feeling and vibe no matter where you go. It's similar. Where it hasn't been that way for you. You've been all over the world where it is way different every time you land at an airport.
No, it's great. Honestly, it's been easy. Like, you know, the furthest flight, okay, we go to Florida, but you're still in America. You know, you're still in America. You've still got food. You've still got Whole Foods. You know, at every city we went to Whole Foods. I got my food, got my same food that I'm going to eat for the weekend or for the day before and the weekend, whatever. And yeah, the biggest challenge in Europe or doing the World Championship or the MXGP is when you're traveling to Qatar or to Indonesia or to Argentina or to Thailand, the food is so, you know, you can't bring half the stuff with you. I mean, to be honest, I ended up being able to bring just Uncle Ben's 2-minute rice and canned tuna. At least you know that's it, and you're getting your almonds. But yeah, it's bland, it's horrible. Even when I go to the test track, that's sometimes what I eat at lunch, just because I'm so used to it now. And the guys look at me like, "Oh, you have tuna and rice and tuna and pasta," and I'm like, "Look, you get used to it in over there, because what are you going to do when you land in Thailand?" I mean, I remember just talking about Thailand at the actual race there in like 2000. I can't even remember what year, 15 maybe. We were trying to get some rice and chicken, right, to have at the race. It was that spicy, no one could eat it. It was just like, how are we supposed to eat this and then go racing? It's just different, you know. The whole vibe is different. And as an athlete, you know, you're looking for those 2% gains wherever you are, and even just travel planning is a big thing. Like when you go to Argentina, you go from Europe to America, 10 to 12 hours. Then you go down to Panama, then from Panama down to Argentina. Then you've got to drive 3 hours or whatever to the track. It is a mission. So you've got to figure out how you're going to do it. Instead of sitting on a plane, you know, for basically 20 hours straight, are you going to fly a bit, stay in the night in a hotel, be able to go in the gym? It's much more difficult. Whereas here, it's so nice. It's just one day. You fly in, fly out, get it done. You know you can get your food. You know you can be in a nice hotel, you know, a chain hotel wherever you are, or whatever you're doing, and you get your rent-a-car and the wheel's not falling off or something. So it's it's fine. Like in Argentina, when we get the rent-a-cars there, it's crazy money. I remember it was like 800 euros. So it's like nearly $1,000 for these cars that are just literally the worst things you've ever seen. They're basically falling apart. So it's just,
hey, like, you wouldn't even spend that much money to buy it, let alone rent it.
Yeah, exactly. And but there's just certain things that, but yeah. So I do feel like the way that the being here in America, being able to travel, being everything on one day, has been very good. I know this year has been difficult for everyone, and it's been strange for everyone. Like the actual traveling over here, it's been really easy because there's been barely any people in the airports, but there's less flights and things like that. But yeah, overall it's been easy. Obviously it's slightly different as this year to any other year that I think we're probably ever going to have.
I'm gonna throw in a quick question, just immediate answer. In-N-Out Burger or Chick-fil-A?
I've not actually had Chick-fil-A.
Oh.
So In-N-Out, In-N-Out, I guess.
Yeah. Chick-fil-A. What?
Everyone goes crazy about Chick-fil-A, but I've never had it. Honestly, now you'll probably think I'm a bit. My wife is really good at cooking, so to be honest, I don't even go out for dinner. I just let her do the cooking for me.
So you're spoiled then. You got good meals at home, so you don't venture out. But then you go to the track and eat canned tuna. I don't get it. I don't get it.
Yeah, no, honestly, I like it though. But sometimes simple is good. Like I just have rice, tuna, and almonds. It's probably you get too fancy with all this. I've done a lot of testing with food and a lot of stuff gives you stomach ache or you when you're pushing really hard. And I know what works for me. What works for me won't work for you or won't work for someone else. And that is something that again you get with a bit of experience. I used to try and eat chicken all the time at races, and I used to come in feeling sick. And then I realized that if you have steak or red meat, you know, a day or two before the races. So yeah, talking about Argentina, the steaks are unbelievable there. Go there though, have a steak. The next day you feel so sick when you're trying to ride because it's so heavy. It's just figuring those things out. I've learned a lot of that over the years, and I'm a bit older now, so I've got to look after I've got to know what makes me tick to give me the best performance.
Exactly. So maybe a boring lunch, but then you can do your 20-minute moto fine versus Chick-fil-A for lunch. And maybe if you're just doing heat races all day, maybe you're fine, but 18 minutes in, it might not work.
16 anymore. Yeah, I'm not 16 anymore where you can just have a can of Coke and a burger or something. But I guess, I don't know, I guess I've just realized I've learned the importance or the benefit, or felt the benefit of it, right. I guess so.
And you've had to figure it out for sure over time. So
yeah.
Max, I'm pumped for you to race this year. I can't wait to see how you and the team do. I'm going to sneak in one last question before we go. And this is something that I think a lot of us Americans just want to know, because we don't have many stories of people that have done what you're doing, which is racing with both. What's it like racing with Jeffrey Hurlings, Antonio Corrosive? We watch these guys on TV, but we don't get to know them all the way. We don't know what they're like in the pits. We don't know what it's like to race with them. What has it been like for you over those last few years when you've been battling with these guys that we look at from afar and think they're incredible, but don't understand really their backgrounds and everything? What's it been like just racing with those guys and just, you know, help us understand what racing the GPs is like?
Well, as a racer, it's a weird question, because me racing feels exactly the same as when I was on a 65 to now when I go to the start line of Loretta's or whatever, like or the Nationals, whatever. You still feel the same. So I've been racing Hurlings since I was 10. Obviously Corrosive was older, and you learn a lot. Like I was teammates with Gauthier Paulin and Max Nagel on my Husky days, and I learned a lot from them. You know, they were very professional, very, just very professional. That's the way you'd call it. There was a lot of respect there, and I think for like with Corrosive, with Hurlings, with all of them, they're all great competitors, and I think you just learn that anyone at the top of their game, whether it's in motocross, whether it's in football, soccer, or any sport, you have to have a lot of respect for what they do, because they are the best of the best for a reason, and that reason is they work hard and they have things figured out. It's not, you don't just get there blasé, you know what I mean? But going to the gate, you know, even when I came over here to race these guys, I've been racing Tomac and Anderson, you know, since I was a kid as well. When my dad used to bring me out here to do World Mini when I was 7, 8, 9, 10 years old. And I'd always been around the guys. So when I line up on the gate against the Americans or against the Europeans, as a racer, to perform your best, it doesn't matter to me. When I was on the gate at the first national, it literally, I could be on the gate against anyone, and I'm just focused on my performance myself. It doesn't matter who's in front of me, who's behind me, what their names are. I've learned that you just have to just focus on yourself, because you can't control what other people do. But we all have a lot of respect for each other, and I think, I don't know the American guys so much to talk to. In Europe, I guess you spend a lot more time on flights with people, and you're in the airports for a lot longer time, and you're in the hotels and whatever, and you do see people around. But yeah, obviously everyone wants to go out and beat each other, but there's still a lot of respect there because everyone knows how hard it is to get to where we are. So yeah, it's a difficult question.
Yeah, I'm just curious because we don't know them. We know them by name and number and everything, but we don't really know what they're like. And again, it's so much different with the travel, like you said. And here it's just in, out, in, out. It's so quick. It's like a blitz.
Yeah, and with the language, like language barriers, like as well, it's tough. Like I've lived in Belgium for the last, well, I was living in Belgium while I was racing over there for a little while, and staying in Belgium most of the time because that's the California of here. So and yeah, they obviously the language, but you know, at the end of the day, motocross is motocross. They're still training, they're still doing their laps, they're still doing their work, and yeah, it's the same kind of thing. Everyone's just training and doing their work, just in a different place, speaking a different language.
Right. I'm gonna sneak in one more question because you brought up the World Mini. Were you good riding in the wind?
No, I remember that place. This one year, I remember it was so windy. I couldn't jump anything, and these guys were just jumping these jumps. I actually went back to England after that. I was only 8 or 9 or 10 or whatever, and I remember every time it was windy, I would practice leaning into the wind, like getting used to whipping, at a young age. And yeah, I never used to be very good at it, but at some of the GPs, Glen Helen GP in I can't remember what year it was. Whenever they were doing the Glen Helen GP, I remember it being really windy one Saturday, and they were all like, "Oh, are we going to stop? Are we not going to go?" I was like, "Oh, this is nothing compared to what World Mini used to be like." And obviously Glen Helen does get windy on a Thursday, but yeah, I remember being fine. Like there was these big jumps, and I was like fine on the Saturday time training and practice and all stuff like that. So again, yeah, you pick those things up, and I think as a racer, you figure out, oh, maybe I'm not that good at this. I need to start figuring that out. So I'm not too bad at jumping in the wind right now, but when I was a kid, I didn't used to like it.
Wow, we introduced you to it, man. The World Mini, that if you bring your canopy there, you're losing it that weekend. It's all you see is canopies flying everywhere all weekend long. So you brought World Mini, and dude, that was my race. I grew up, that was my big one every year, and I used to practice by rolling obstacles as fast as I could, just in case I had a crazy wind moto.
yeah. No, that place was gnarly with that.
Well, Max, hey, thanks, man. I appreciate you coming on Beyond the Track. I'm super happy that you're okay. You're being released to get going, and I'm excited to see you and the team in 2021, man. It's gonna be fun to watch. I know you're excited. Thank you.
Yeah, me too. Thank you very much, and cheers for having me on.
See you soon, man.
Cheers, mate.